Welcome to the #1 Bengals podcast. I'm your host, Daddy McDuke. As always, I'm joined by the great John Sheeran. And today, John, we have a guest who is a man who I've looked up to my whole life. The way, Dr. Hoji has looked up to Shambo, who's his guru. This man is my guru. This man is my inspiration for creating Bengals content. I'll tell you, back in the 90s, he was writing for the Enquirer, and I was reading him, and I happened to move to California. I could not access his material anymore. And so I had to pay for this very expensive subscription to the Bengals report to get my information. It was like $20 a month. And as careful I am with finances, that was a lot for me. Until he came back and yeah, John, I think you're on mute. But yeah, so he came back and I was able to access his stuff online. I think it was like the early 2000s. And he started writing for Bengals.com. And I was very happy because this guy, he doesn't just tell you what the Bengals did, the basic stats, but he has a very elegant form of writing. He tells a story. He draws in the emotions. He captures the environment. And really, John, I mean, all of our careers are kind of based on him because you look at a lot of the articles out there and they take 2 or 3 things from a beautiful piece by this man and they turn them into separate blogs. So with that, I want to welcome Mr. Geoff Hobson to the show. Yeah, Geoff, I think... hello?
Yep. Am I?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say that proves, I guess, that viruses don't go away. They come back, I guess, right? From the 90s to 2000s.
No, Geoff.
Yeah. So
no.
you were able to track me down in California, but then that all changed, right? With the internet and everything was free.
Yeah, that I do love that part. I'm a big fan of free. But yeah, I mean, Geoff, back then it was like there was people like you and, I don't remember if you remember Dr. Z, Dr. Zimmerman and these guys who, they were providing this different kind of content than what we see today. But it was a more storytelling style of talking about the sports. And, I had a lot of time on my hands to read. I was eating a lot of proteins. And so I found myself reading in unexpected places back then, but reading a lot. And so that is how I kind of got into sports, is by reading that top-notch journalism.
Well, there's some debate, I guess, if this era is made for storytellers or not. So it's seems to be going the other way, where it's clicks, it's one-liners, it's rumors, it's analytics, it's it seems to be a struggle for the to see where this thing's going to go in the next 20 years. We know where it's been for the last 20, and we'll see where it goes for the next 20.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally see what you're saying. And I agree. And I will say this. I think the analytics and, like you said, the clicks and the predictions and all that kind of stuff, it gives you like people more of an immediate kind of satisfaction. But the storytelling captures what is at the heart of the experiences of a sports. Everybody remembers certain moments from a special season or from a player's career. And it's not so much the stats, even the analytical stats. And so I think that is what you and the people like you, I think you really capture what it means to be a fan. But because you're so articulate, you say on paper what others, kind of, feel in their hearts.
Well, we're all fans. We all feel a connection with these guys. I think that's a lot of it is the guys on the field. You're pulling for these guys. You want to know about them. You want to know what they're feeling. What kind of where are they from? What are they about? I mean, I guess I have an easier time with that than trying to figure out turnover percentage at the end of a drive. I was bad in math. That's one of the reasons I went into the English class. So analytics, I struggle a little bit. I'm pretty good with the final score. I can figure that out, I guess. But
yeah, well,
beyond that, I struggle.
I never learned math myself, Geoff. I've derived a method for determining the final score without being able to read numbers. Yeah, it's reading. I just look at the body language and I figure it all out.
That's good.
Thank you.
That's good. You could write in Boston. You could have, because guys have made a career out of reading Brady's body language.
There you go. So you're from Boston. That's what I want to ask you about is how did you get into writing how did you get to the writing? So you said English class. Was that your major?
Right.
Or yeah.
Couldn't do anything else. Couldn't do anything else. I could barely get down the hall without, having some kind of an accident. So I clearly wasn't going to play. The only way I was going to be involved in sports was, I did play baseball. I could do that. But, if I was going to hang around after doing it, in high school, I was going to have to find a way to, do something off the field. And that was, it just seemed to be, I did what you guys do. I did what you guys do. Just what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? Read the paper, read the sports section. I grabbed the sports section. That's the first thing I did. So I figured, that's what I wanted to do was write for a sports section.
And when did you start doing that and where?
Fourth, fifth grade, I was following the Red Sox. So every day, we had to sneak in. My dad and I had to sneak in certain papers because of some of the political bent of my mom, so we had to, at that time, the Boston Herald had a better sports page than the Globe. So you can tell you that's how long ago it was. So, but my mother was not a big fan of the Herald, so we had to sneak in the sports section. We were okay with the Globe, though. So once the Globe came in, once Gammons and Bob Ryan and Lee Montville and Ron Borges, Will McDonough made that thing a powerhouse, we were in good shape because we could get the Globe in there.
And so how did you come to write for the Bengals? I know you were with the Cincinnati Post, I believe, and then the Inquirer, and then eventually Bengals.com. I think I've read that Mike Brown asked you to be the writer for Bengals.com.
Yeah, and
sorry to interrupt you, but you weren't just the writer. I remember when it was Geoff Hobson was the writer, the editor, the producer, the everything. You were the everything, man.
Yeah, that was we didn't know what it, we didn't know what was, we were. It's like when Mike hired me. When he asked me about it, I said, I don't know anything about the internet or computers or, I think maybe, I advised him to, hire a guy out of college who, a young guy that was really immersed in this thing. And he said, no. He said, I want a guy that the readers know and they trust and they'll know that they're getting they're getting the story. And, and like he said, I don't know where this, he said, I don't know where this is going. I knew that newspapers wasn't, I knew that newspapers weren't long for certainly the way I had grown up, what a newspaper was going to be and working for one. I knew that was changing and I wasn't sure if it was going to be able to, if the business would be able to adjust. So I knew that was going to happen, but where the internet was going to go, I didn't know. And Mike was actually, you have to tip your hat to Mike because he saw what was coming.
So I'm sorry, I'm not the best listener, but if I'm understanding correctly, Mike Brown invented the internet.
Well, right after Al Gore, they might have had a meeting.
That is incredible. But wait, okay, hold on. Let's take a step back. Before Bengals.com, how did you come to Cincinnati and write about the Bengals of all teams?
Looking for a shot in a big market. I was went to Syracuse, worked at some smaller papers, was the sports columnist in Portland, Maine, and wanted to get a shot in a big town with sport, with major league teams.
I see. Wow. We're so lucky. Honestly, anybody who's out there and reads the other, you can't say, senior writer, I guess is the proper term, but other people.
But that's, with the emphasis on senior. But I think I think the people who were really lucky were my kids who got to grow up in Cincinnati, which was a huge thing because they had a great, I think they really benefited from growing up in the Midwest. And
absolutely.
Daddy, I want to jump in here and just to clarify something that Geoff said. Did you say that you wanted to work in Cincinnati because you wanted to work in a big market, or did you just equate those two?
Bigger market, yeah. I mean, to me. I mean, growing up, I mean, Cincinnati was big league all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cincinnati Reds is no better. There's no bigger. I mean, that's the major leagues. Plus also too, having a couple of kids. I mean, it was also a very livable city. It was a major league market and livable and good for kids. So I didn't see it as I didn't see it as small. I saw it as a place with major league teams.
Yeah. Well, okay. So look, Mr. Hobson, I want to talk about how many years you've been covering the team. 30 years, maybe.
Off and on for 30, but 20, this is my 22nd season with Bengals.com.
Yeah. And so yeah, I want to know some of your memories, because we've only been doing this show for 8 years. And we have so many memories with Bengals players and management and all that. We had John. I mean, we had Wayne Box Miller on the show.
We did.
And our co-host Hoji the Electric Smoji almost indoctrinated him into some vegan cult. And that was very not what I expected. Because I was trying to get him basically to motivate my team. You see, we have another guy on the show, but you see, he's not here because he's on his 4th summer vacation, Mr. Hobson. Anytime, and back in February, there was one sunny day. He said, "Oh, it's summer. I'm taking my vacation," and then this kept happening. And so that is our situation. And so Wayne Box Miller was he's a motivational speaker. He was supposed to talk some sense into him, and then instead he ends up on his side. So that is one, I guess you could say, funny story. Yeah,
that's a great vacation package. How do you get it?
Yeah. I mean, with our budget, it's really this is why the shows are struggling. But yeah, so I want to hear some of your best stories with players, with organization members.
I did not cover. I was not there when Hallis was at the car dealership and invented the league. I just missed that one. I didn't cover. I know some of the guys when Corey Dillon broke Jim Brown's rookie rushing record in 1997. I think some of the guys thought I covered that game, but I did not cover that one. I was born after a couple of years after Jim Brown got out of Syracuse, but Dillon is really at the center of a lot of my memories because he had 2 great games. That game we're talking about, the 97 game when he broke Brown's record, and then of course the Peyton game when he broke Walter's record. Boomer coming back in 97, and just covering Boomer in general. In 90 and 91, that being able to cover Sam Wyche was a treat. I mean, that was a guy. You needed like 2 guys to cover Sam. You needed 1 guy to go in and cover him in the postgame because it was a good chance it was going to blow up into a national story that would be on CNN, and then you had to have somebody else in there to cover the football game. So as Sam, you always had to cover your bases. Great guy, very engaging, smart. Those were fun days.
Was Sam funny? Did he have any funny things to say? Was he like? Did he mess with reporters or anything?
He was always used the media as a prop. Really, use the media. He was one of the great distractors. He would whatever, if his team was in trouble, he did a great job of making himself the issue. And of course, we were a willing willing prop, so he would go after us. But he was. Very, very cutting, very sarcastic, but a funny guy, and obviously just a guy with a big heart too. Because you saw what he did with with the homeless when he was here in town, and later when he went to settle in Pickens, South Carolina. And he was always great. Could always get him on the horn, and up until he just passed last year. But and then to make the transition into Marvin and Carson Palmer, and I mean, really, Chad Johnson, covering Chad, it was like that was more than sports because Chad, and he's still doing it. What do they call him now? He's an influencer. I guess that's the term now. But I see him as a pioneer when it comes to social media in sports. He's still one of the more popular guys. And he was a guy who was always, you had to be on your toes because he was always, there was always breaking news around him, And then to be able to, I think right before the pandemic hit, one of my more memorable moments was going up to Athens, like in February, 2 weeks before the combine, and spent some time in Burrow's hometown. I didn't spend any time with him, but I spent some time with people who knew him at Athens High School, and that was fun. I guess I liked that because I could pull out of my place, take a right, and go 132 miles straight, stop, and get a hell of a story. So I was happy when they picked him for that reason. But since they picked him, you haven't been able to really go anywhere or visit anybody. So hoping that changes. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Dillon, and actually that's one of the guys I wanted to ask you about because he was so, he's not really involved with social media, and he was kind of a quiet guy when he played. But he was such a talent. What was he like, person?
I don't know. He wasn't that quiet. He right before I get the job here with Bengals.com, I know he gave me a quote that said he'd rather flip burgers than play for the Bengals. So
right.
He spoke his mind all the time. He never backed down from saying what he believed. It's one of the reasons I liked him. He was a straight shooter. Right where he was coming from. He was angry. He was angry from the moment he got here. He was mad. He went in the second round. He was a first round guy, and clearly he was when you saw him play. And he never forgot it. He ran angry. Dave Lapham, it tells a great story before that Denver game when he had the 278, and he's down on the field, and he was talking to Greg Robinson, the Broncos defensive coordinator, who his team they were actually second in rushing, and Dillon ran by him and just huge, and you could feel him. Lapp said you could feel him run by, and Robinson kind of turned around and clapped his hands and said, "All right, guys, let's go." And he proceeded to, and I've talked to Corey about this before. Somebody's going to break the record. They'll keep breaking the record, but nobody will ever probably do it like Corey did when, just 22 carries, 278 yards, but yet I think 9 of them went for 1 or 2 yards. So he had these huge gaping runs, and he did it they didn't complete a pass in the last 3 quarters.
I'd say it for you, Geoff. There was very inconsistent offensive line play for the Bengals back then. I remember Dillon would have like a 40-yard game, when there was nothing, no holes, and then he'd have a 200-yard game. And it was all about if he could wear the defense down. If he could just bulldoze.
They didn't have a quarterback, so they were playing 10-man lines, and if you were able to get through, you get those big runs. But yeah, you're right. It was but when you don't have anybody, name a quarterback that he had. Can you imagine what he'd be with Palmer? Can you imagine what he would?
Well, by the time, actually, I remember the year that Boomer came back, that second half was when Dillon's career took off.
Correct.
And it was after they benched Jeff Blake, basically. And
he took off.
But
Blake,
Blake,
they didn't play him. They didn't play him. It was one of the great mysteries. They stuck with Kajana Carter for the first 10 years.
Yeah. But I'm just saying he never got the chance to really play, I don't think, with Blake, very much, who was very good. And talking, speaking about the Blake era, Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott, we never hear from them anymore.
Yeah.
We didn't have
all this. Never really heard from them when they were playing. They weren't real personable guys.
Yeah.
They weren't really happy. They were tough to talk to. They'd usually insult you. So, they were tough interviews. Great players though. And, Pickens and Darnay and Blake kept them on the map. You could make the argument that Paul Brown is the house that Jeff Blake built because, he when he came into the lineup in 94, 95, 96, people were pumped up. He gave them hope, and he got them back into the win column.
And like I said, I was in California, and the only time I ever saw Bengals highlights was after Blake was put in the quarterback because they show 1 or 2 of his bombs.
Yep.
On every highlight reel, they had to show it. And that meant a lot for Bengals fans, where there's a guy who everybody had to pay attention to.
There's no question, because from 92 to 94, it was just, it had been a desert.
Yeah. So, look, I want to move on to the next category, which is rumors about the team. There's a lot of people who put all this stuff out. Annoying rumors. The worst kind. And you remember there is this pro football conversation or something site. I don't remember. The very biased, lying, fake news media will say stuff like, Joe Burrow, didn't want to play for Cincinnati, or these kind of the stuff that they make up. And it's very frustrating as Bengals fans, because we don't have many prominent voices in the media to kind of take the kind of that they're connected with the organization to speak. So what have you dealt with over the years in terms of, let's say, the Steelers fans in the media or others who are throwing things out there that are just not true? What would you like to dispel from those rumors?
I don't know. I think, what would you like to dispel? I mean, there's so many. Right?
I like this. Turn it back on him.
No, I'm saying which rumors? I mean, which rumors?
Well, how the organization is run, for instance. A lot of people say that, they cut corners here, they do this, they do that. Pat McAfee talks about the indoor facility. And I actually, I've been, informed about recently about the problem is not with the finances for the facility, but rather the nature of the city and what is underground in building the facility.
Well, I don't know. Did you see what they spent in free agency the last 2 years?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And they always, I think the Bengals are different. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a different business model. You pay a lot, but you pay for the guys you develop, because it's a more of a belief in the older style of developing players instead of taking these big risks on outside free agents. Yeah.
Well, right. I think that is a philosophy. I mean, I think a lot of teams have done that. The Steelers do that. The Patriots did that. But the Patriots, you just saw what the Patriots did this last year. They went hog wild in free agency. And the Bengals have done that the last 2 years. They kind of they drafted very well in the early part of the decade. Then they've had some guys hurt. Some guys they drafted high have got hurt, haven't panned out, and they went right to the well. They went. I think. They broke their record 2 years in a row of how much they're spending in free agency. And I think they took advantage of having that rookie quarterback, the contract of that rookie quarterback, and I think, their goal has been to surround Burrow, to surround that rookie quarterback with what they can. And, I think that, that's obviously a difference from probably in the middle of the decade when Dalton was riding high and they were getting some play from guys that they did want to give second contracts to. Yeah, I don't think they've been giving second contracts to guys just because they drafted them. They had to be producing.
No, absolutely. So let me just tell you, I don't know. I know you're on Twitter, but you don't.
Haven't looked at my mentions since 2009.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, because I'm always atting you. I'm always trying to get your attention. It never works. I'm always saying, Geoff, please come on our show. And we got you through John, so that's great. But
John's very good. John's all over it. John got a hold of me. So yeah. John, give him my information.
Yeah, for sure.
In fact, I tried to call John. I thought I followed up the Zoom link.
Oh no! Did I miss a call from Hobson?
John, just give him.
Oh no!
What's that?
Yeah,
that's the worst missed call possible, right there. That's a big missed opportunity on my end.
Oh no! I'm just saying. I just give him my stuff. Give him my info.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, the thing with Twitter is I know, listen, I know I'm not very good. I know I'm old. I know I'm from Boston. So the people don't have to. I don't have to. Do I have to look at that every day?
No, you don't. You don't. And
be reminded how weak I am and how
I don't.
I am. So that's all that's on there.
Well, look. We all know how smart and sharp you are.
I can get my news. I still get my news. I don't have to. I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. But
No, please. That's actually, Geoff, by the way, this show used to be called Sorry If I Spit When I Speak. So the whole philosophy of the show is cutting each other off. That's how it works. So please do cut me off. Yeah. But Geoff, I was just going to say, you don't need to get in all that. You're in the, you're there, you're seeing what's going on every day. But I just wanted to say, you might have heard that Bengals Twitter is pretty loud, and they are basically combating a lot of those annoying rumors in the form of superheroes. Just fascinating. So we have, I just saw recently there's a Bengals Batman. We have the Bengals Orange Arrow. We have the Bengals. What else, John? There's
Captain, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Like there's the Captain. There's the space hero. The
Bangalorian. We have all of these. Yeah, and what's funny is they don't have the cat superheroes. They don't have Bengals Catwoman. They don't have the Thundercats like Lion-O and Tigra. I don't know if this is an issue you want to raise with Mike Brown.
They're saving the big gun. I think they're saving the big guns for the season. Their social media department has done a great job. I think Elizabeth Blackburn is next. The next topic, but she's been terrific with social media. I mean, she's turned that thing around. I mean, they're top. I think we're top 5 in the league.
Yeah, we are, which is very.
So whatever we're doing, I think that's.
Yeah, but so basically, I want to get official approval from the organization for the superhero that I should be, if that's okay. So from you, I'm just going to share some ideas, and I want you to just give me your opinion. So I've been considering a few superheroes. One is the Penguin, obviously. So the Penguin, as you know, Geoff, he was accused, like me, of shady business dealings, just fake media, fake news. But he was teased as a child. Obviously, his funny looks. But he ultimately brings people together, and he accomplishes really, really great things by his ability to organize. So that is my first candidate for you.
Do you know who played him in the TV series, by the way? A little trivia there.
Yeah, I do.
The Penguin in the TV series.
Yeah, Burgess
Correct.
Meredith.
Burgess Meredith, very good. Who was Rocky's trainer.
That's right. Yeah,
very good.
Thank you. I've been researching these characters, Geoff. He
was also in the greatest Twilight. He was also in the star in the greatest Twilight Zone ever.
Yeah.
Time Enough at Last.
Yeah, but you can see the resemblance, Geoff, right? I mean, down there. Yeah. So
it's this guy in a hat, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a hat. I can't afford the hat yet. You would be surprised how boot-strap our budget is, Geoff. You would not believe it. Yeah. But
because you can't do numbers. I don't know why you're doing the budget if you don't know what
Yeah. Yeah, but Geoff,
how much do you guys get for mileage?
Well, for my So basically, John is allowed to visit his parents' home where he can use their internet, and once a month. Yeah. So the second candidate, Geoff, is Snarf from Thundercats, of course. Now, Snarf was able to communicate with animals. Obviously, I'm a communicator. I'm in the media, and I think that Bengals Snarf would resonate with fans. Again, I really think Thundercats are not being used enough. I don't know if Mike Brown has complained about this or Elizabeth.
I don't know much about the snap. I don't know much about that.
Let's move on, please. Please, Courtney. Let's move on to Monopoly Man. Now, Monopoly Man.
I know that guy.
You know this guy, yeah. So really, Geoff. Geoff, really, money is the greatest superpower when you think about it.
You're right.
Because you can lobby the other superheroes to do what you want. So,
but if you're a superhero, you don't care about money. That's why you're a superhero.
I never thought of that.
Right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to scrap the idea, Geoff. I'm just going to scrap the whole thing.
Unless it's like Joe Jackson in the 1919 World Series or something. I mean,
Yeah, let's just move on, Courtney. Let's just move on. Courtney's our producer, by the way. She's doing a great job. So, Elizabeth Blackburn, anybody, fans, outsiders, everybody senses a difference. There's an energy. There is, I want to say, more accountability. There is more a strategy, and Mike Brown came out and said, Elizabeth, my granddaughter, unlike my own kids, is not afraid of me. And that says a lot, because Mike Brown is, he's a very lovable, cuddly man. So I don't know why his kids would be afraid of him. Maybe those are, maybe that's something you can speak to. But But Elizabeth is from a different generation where, I mean, I don't, maybe authority or age and all that kind of stuff means so much. But at the same time, you got to get business. You got to get down to business, get stuff done.
Yeah, she's been in the business. I mean, she was in the business community for 5-6 years before she came over, which was, I think, that's done nothing but help her because she grew up in football. She grew up in a football family, so she got the best of both worlds as far as being able to have that business background, and yet she lives it and breathes it. I mean, she's no different than she's a Bengal fan. So
yeah, she's not a superhero. I wouldn't go that far, but she supports the superhero. She actually invited them for the jersey reveal.
There you go.
And so, yeah. So see, again, I'm not going to say it was my idea about lobbying the superheroes. I'm not going to say she took my idea. Obviously, I'm not going to, I don't want like residuals or anything for that, unless you think it's possible. But Burrow is a superhero. Yeah. Yes, he is. Yeah. But Geoff, so basically you as someone in the organization, in the building every day, you sense the energy, you sense the difference as well.
Oh yeah, there's no question. I mean, just around the uniform unveil, the video, just when the way they shot the video, it was almost like a, geez, I mean, that was like it's almost like a movie scene, the cameras they had going on, and I think the thing I think that really makes Elizabeth so effective is, she was sitting in this, she was weeping when Vontaze Burfict, I don't know if she was weeping. I know she was here when Vontaze Burfict intercepted the ball in a playoff game, and people were singing and dancing in the aisles, and she was one of them singing and dancing in the aisles. So, she looked out at the crowd. And in that moment, she said, "That's the way I want it to look," and and that's the way we all want it to look. I mean, yeah. I was up here. I was up in my office writing when Tez picked the ball off, and I was, I was yelling and screaming, and and then 2 minutes later, I was doing a major rewrite. But I think that she's felt it. She knows what she wants to feel like, and I think she's got a real connection with the fans.
She does,
so I think that's, and I think the fans are superheroes.
Yeah. I mean, I can really identify with Elizabeth, like we talked about Jeff Blake, that was her favorite player.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but the first video I ever made was Jeff Blake highlights. It was the first highlights of Jeff Blake on the internet. You search Jeff Blake, you see that video. I think it's 100,000 views.
You did that?
Oh, I was maybe in my 50s. But it was back in 2011,
okay.
And so that was.
I thought you did it right away. I thought you did it real quick.
No. As soon as I learned how to use YouTube, basically 2011, it was my first project, and my second was Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott. But
now Blake, there was a lot. The thing about Blake was, and he had a lot of great plays that you were able to, I'm sure, put together, and. He never had. I think he had like 2 100-yard rushers and like 52 Bengals starts or something.
Yeah, and very average defense. Very average defense.
That's right.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it was amazing, and even offensive line again. Even that season with Boomer, I remember the offensive line had a bad start, and they started playing well for Boomer. Yeah, it was the kind of the veteran presence kind of compensated for. Yeah. But I was going to say,
Boomer get the ball out quick.
Yeah. Oh, he was a maestro. He was very great at manipulating defenses. But so I'll just say, I was the number one fan of Jeff Blake, and now she is, let's say, 1A or 1B or whatever. And yet, Jeff, again, she hasn't been on our show. I don't know what's going on. It's
I'm
crazy.
Sure she'll be on. I'm sure you'll get her.
Yeah, I think so. I really hope so, because I'm feeling the burn. That's all I wanted to say. I'm feeling
that was her nickname, actually. That was her nickname when she was working for the NFL. Her nickname was Bernie.
Yeah.
And she actually crafted something for the collective bargaining agreement when they were going through how to structure the collective bargaining agreement. She actually came up with a way to figure like club expenses in a.
That's right. I actually read it in a great article on Bengals.com.
I think they call it the burn. I think they call that the burn or something. That thing.
Yeah. Actually, I reworked that article of yours from Bengals.com into a blog. Got a lot of clicks. A lot of clicks.
Doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Made a lot of money. No, I'm just joking. No, I didn't make money. But Geoff, look, let's move on to the camp updates. Okay, let's talk about today. Now, one question we have from Big Homie 50, not 49, not 51, but 50. He wants to know who is flying under the radar from the perspective of, from you. Like, who is the guy that the media or maybe fans don't see in training camp as being, as big of a, positive kind of piece?
Well, anybody on defense has been super. I think Logan Wilson's flying under the radar. I think he's been very solid, but it's kind of tough under the radar. I guess you wouldn't. You would expect the highly paid corners to play, to do well, and they are doing well. The young guys, I think, expect Chase to do well. He's a rookie. He's going through some ups and downs. Obviously the free agent pickup from San Francisco, Trent Taylor, has been the talk of the first couple of days of camp. He's caught everything thrown at him, making a real run at the punt return job. And I think he's a guy you're going to have to keep in mind.
Yeah. I was at the open practice on Saturday.
Yes.
And I saw Trent. He caught a deep pass in the first half, if you will, whatever you call it. And then in the second half, he caught a one-handed touchdown.
That's
and
great.
All of his teammates surrounded him and congratulated him. It's very clear that he's really making some noise.
Oh, he's I think also, too, there's another guy you have to keep an eye on, and it's been quiet. I think Puka Williams, the running back, who's playing wide receiver from Kansas. I think he's going to get a long look. I think it's a long shot that he makes the club, but I think he's an interesting guy to watch.
Well, and also Travion Williams, who's on our show, it was a delight. He was on our show.
Yeah.
Of course, he wasn't a big fan of my frugality, if you will, my lack of hospitality and how I, but we had a lot of fun. And Travion looked great. He looked very explosive.
What about Chris Evans? I think Chris Evans is going to make a run. I think that's a great matchup, Chris Evans and Travion. I think that's going to be a great battle. They really like the way Evans catches the ball. And I think he's looked good out there.
A lot of people want to know about Jackson Carman. So I saw him working with Frank Pollock a lot. And I know he's moving to guard, so it's going to be a transition. So a lot of people are saying maybe he won't be the starter day one. Is anything clear?
Yeah, I think that's to be played out. Frank's not going to give a job to anybody. I think they're rotating right now. Jackson and Michael Jordan got reps with the first team today. And I think that's going to be something we're going to see as camp and the preseason goes on. But I think they like Jackson, but obviously he's got to he's a rookie. He's gonna this is like the first week, so I think he's gonna get eased in. All these things will be decided in the three preseason games. We can
really speculate, but there's not much value. Yeah, I agree.
Would you?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
I just wanted to ask, would you classify what's going on with kicker as an actual battle, or is that more just a battle in name only?
What's that? I'm sorry, the kicker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, my opinion, and I don't know anything, but to me it's a name only, because I know when the kid get drafted, when Evan McPherson got drafted, Darren Simmons pretty much said, well, he's going to be the guy, and whether that thing could heat up, I don't know. Siebert's a good kicker too. Darren was saying that today, that both of them are going to be in the league. So, but I would think, just given, the strength of McPherson's leg, he was there on Saturday, so we saw the 60-yarder, which had, had enough. He hooked it, but he's, McPherson's got the leg strength I think they're looking for. So, that would be my thinking, that, it's McPherson's job to lose, and, Austin is going to have to knock him out. He's going to have to knock him out. And I'm not, I don't know if he can do that in a preseason.
Well, like you said, it's all a speculation.
Right.
So, so we don't want to waste too much time with that. I want to move to season predictions. How many wins are they going to have? Where do they finish at the end of the season?
I think they go 10-8. I think they go 10-7.
Yeah.
If you look at the schedule early, they should make some hay.
So is that going to win the division, or?
I don't know. It's a tough division. I mean, that's Cleveland, I guess, is the. I kind of agree with Boomer. He was in here. We were talking to him, and Boomer said, Cleveland's the best team, probably, because I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore are working through some things. But is Cleveland going to win 12 games? Can Baker Mayfield win 12 games? I'm not real. I don't know about that. Can 58-year-old Ben Roethlisberger win 12 games? I don't know. The Baltimore, John Harbaugh, to me, I don't talk about Cleveland. I talk about Baltimore because of the coaching with John Harbaugh. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play defense. So, to me, that's the team you have to beat. But I think I think Boomer had it right. This team's good enough. The Bengals are good enough to be in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mr. Hobson,
10-7. 10-7. That was my pick.
I see. I think that's about right. I was going to say 15-2, but pretty close.
a little bit of a
little bit different. Yeah, but I mean, the best part is I predict Joe Burrow is going to play the whole season.
Yeah,
throw 4,500 to 5,000 yards, somewhere between.
I mean, but take a look at the sked. If you take a look at the sked,
he's got it right there.
You got some,
he created
some teams. There's some teams there that get you to 10. I mean, that you're gonna win some games you're not supposed to win.
How many in the division? How many in the division?
I'm sorry.
How many in the division are we talking here?
Okay, 3 or 4. 3 or 4. I think they'll. Maybe they split them.
Well, we haven't seen that in a while, so I think
correct.
Many would take that.
I mean, that's what this team has to do. John, you're exactly right. That's what this team has to do. To me, the two stats that they have to improve, they're two division stats. They're giving up 5.2 yards per rush in the division the last 2 years, and I think they're allowing an average of 130 yards per game on the ground.
Well, I think with the linebackers they drafted a year ago, that was specifically with Baltimore in mind. Guys that can fly around and catch up with Lamar Jackson. And so, I think if they can stop Lamar Jackson, that's going to go down to under 5 for sure. But
I mean, it's Lamar's got their number, no question. They got to figure out how to stop him. So I know they feel like the guys they try, some like Sample and Osai, that I think they believe are they can set the run against, they can set the edge against the run. I think that was a big thing, and I think that's why they liked Hendrickson, because I think they feel like not only that he can rush the passer, I think they feel like he's a good run defender. So, all I think with Baltimore and Pittsburgh in mind, and Cleveland really. I mean, they've Chubb and Hunt have really carved them up too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Hobson, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
It was great being on. I thank you for having me on. I know I probably wasn't a comedic hit, but I thank you for having me on.
No, neither were we. We never are, but we just report the news.
You guys have a show on.
Actually, let me tell you, who is very funny is Mike Brown's wife, Nancy. Very funny person. Hilarious. We had a dinner together and I don't know but she put a whoopee cushion on my seat, and obviously that's hilarious because I don't have that problem. But we're just all cracking up. And in the Bengals as an organization, they have their family organization, a lot of fun, very lighthearted. So so that is what we try to represent here. We try to have fun, and as Bengals fans, obviously we've been through a lot of dark ages, and and we've had to have kind of, this kind of show, I think, represents our experience as a fan.
Well, I think what is the number one Bengals podcast?
That's right. It's the number one Bengals podcast. Thank you. That's actually the official Bengals statement on the matter. It is now official.
That's what it said on the coming into the show.
It does say that. It's also a factual statement. We actually are. Yeah. We have about 1,000th of the ratings of the Locked On Bengals podcast. So they're the top Bengals podcast. But we are called the number one Bengals podcast. I don't know the math, how it works, but somehow it does. Just trust me.
I trust you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Well, for John Sheeran and the great Geoff Hobson, I'm Daddy McDuke. That's all we have for this show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review. We will see you next time. So long. Isviti. Peace.